being lazy. We need to shower. We have to get up, clean the fish, being lazy. We have to do the dishes done month to floors. Did you make that bed? Switch out the laundry. You still have to do that. Get up, stop being.
Have you ever gotten everything you've been praying for and somehow you still don't feel at peace? That's where I found myself. I kept saying I wanted a softer life. I feel like I just need to breathe. I don't want more material things. I don't want to add more goals. I just want to be able to breathe. I want more peace. I want more rest and just less stress. Once life got quiet, I realized something. I did not know how to be okay within the quiet. I felt so uncomfortable. I was just feeling like I need to be doing something. I was scanning for problems, looking for problems to solve. And that's when I started to ask myself the hard question. Have I been living in survival mode for so long that it became part of my personality, part of my lifestyle, part of my worth? Because when you spent so much time just pushing through, carrying everything, figuring it out, being strong, and just making things happen, you can't just turn that off overnight. And for a very long time, I thought survival mode meant like you're struggling financially, or maybe you're just going through like this extreme traumatic event, or you're barely making it, you're just struggling through life. But now I realize that survival mode can look successful. It can look productive. It can even look responsible. And from the outside, people might think that you have it all together. Meanwhile, you're exhausted, you're overstimulated, you're overwhelmed, and your mind never stops running. I know because that was me. And if I'm being honest, some days that's still me. So tonight, I just want to keep it cool and calm and just talk about some of the signs I've seen within myself. Not as an expert, not as someone who has it all figured out, just as a woman who's learning to stop surviving and start living. But the first thing that I noticed was that I felt guilty when resting. And I don't mean like just scrolling on the phone, I mean actual rest. Like if I'm in bed too long, I feel like I gotta get up and do something. Like, why is it not okay to rest? Why is it not okay to reset? It's like I have to get up and be productive and do something. The kind when, you finally get that free moment and instead of enjoying it, my brain would just start to list all of the things that need to get done. The dishes, the laundry, the work emails, the goals, the money, the future. And before I knew it, I wasn't resting anymore. I realized my body was sitting still, but my mind was still racing. That's not peace, that's survival mode wearing a different outfit. Another thing I noticed was that I always felt like something bad was about to happen. Have you ever experienced that? Like nothing was wrong, everything is actually okay, but you're just waiting for the next problem, waiting for that next setback, waiting for the next thing to fall apart. I didn't realize how much of my life I spent just bracing myself, almost like I couldn't trust the good moments. Like happiness came with the expiration date. And I think a lot of us tend to do that after spending years dealing with disappointment. We become so familiar with struggle that peace starts to feel suspicious. Then comes the overthinking. Lord have mercy, the overthinking. Replaying conversations, analyzing text messages, think about things I said 3 days ago, creating scenarios that never happened. I used to tell myself that I was being prepared, but honestly, most of the time I was just exhausted because overthinking tricks us into thinking that we're solving problems when we're really just creating more stress. And one thing nobody really talks about is how survival mode can disconnect you from yourself. You get so used to taking care of everyone else that you forget to check in with yourself. And over the course of maybe 2 years, I've had switched 3 different therapists. One question they asked me was, what did I need or what did I want? What would make me happy or what would be something that would make me feel satisfied? And I really did not know, not because I didn't have the dreams or not because I didn't have any goals or any plans, but because I spent so much time responding to life that I forgot to intentionally create one. And that can be scary to know when you're answering everyone else's needs, but you can't answer to your own. And I think that one of the biggest lies survivor mode tells us is that our value comes from what we do, not who we are, what we accomplish, what we provide, what we fix, what we carry. And for a very long time, my worth was attached to my job. That was my everyday life. Like that became my life. It wasn't about living for me anymore or creating a life for me anymore. It was just My work is my lifestyle now. My work is my life, to the point where, and you may relate to this, you come home, but you're still thinking about work. Like you're off the clock, or it's the weekend and you're just you're just taking the time on the weekend to prepare for work on Monday. That's survivor mode. So what happens when you're tired? What happens when you need support? What happens when you're not the strong one for a minute? Are you still worthy? The answer is yes. But survivor mode doesn't want you to believe that. And that's where my soft life journey began. Not the luxury, not the aesthetics, not the candles and all the matching pajamas. All those things are nice, but that's not what changed my life. What changed my life was learning that peace is a skill. Rest is a skill. Receiving is a skill. And those are things that many of us was never taught. We were only taught how to hustle, how to push through, but nobody taught us how to slow down without feeling guilty. So if you're watching this and you've been feeling tired lately, and not sleepy, I mean so tired, I want you to know something. You're allowed to stop proving how strong you are. You're allowed to rest before burnout. You are allowed to choose peace. And you are allowed to build a life that doesn't require constant recovery. And if nobody told you today, I'm proud of you, because choosing a different way of living takes courage. Leaving survival mode takes courage. Learning to trust peace takes courage. And maybe that's just the season that we're both in right now. Not surviving, not just getting through, but finally learning how to live. If this conversation spoke to you, let me know down in the comments what's one sign that you related to and realize that you're living in survivor mode. I would love to hear your stories. Until next time, bye.